Hey guys, this is Melcanesso. I've been using the ASUS Zenbook UX303UB for more than a month, and this is my review of it. Let's start off by doing a quick rundown of what's inside this ultrabook. We got an i7 6500U processor, a Geforce 940M, 8 gigs of RAM and 256 GB of SSD storage. It has 3 USB 3.0 ports, 1 HDMI port, a mini display port, audio jack and an SD card reader. Alright, so let's get to it. I'll divide the review into easily digestible chunks in the description below, so you can just scrub through if there's anything you want to see, like the battery time, the screen quality, or anything like that. Before we begin, let me just point out that I mainly use this computer for video editing. I have used it in a few games too though. First up is the screen. The screen is an IPS panel of 3200 by 1800 pixels, and let me just say that it looks absolutely gorgeous. It has amazing crisp and sharpness, and the colors are just bright and beautiful. Oh, and it's a touchscreen, which I never use, so. Next up is the build quality. One thing I really value when I buy a new computer and all electronics is the build quality. You really can't define a computer by its spec, so you have to have it in the hands to define, do I like this or not? And with the Zenbook, I like it a lot. It feels sturdy, made of aluminium, and the glass touchpad is just icing on the cake. I really value a good touchpad because when I'm on the fly editing, I can't really use a mouse. So the touchpad is really key to me. And the touchpad on the Zenbook, I guess, is a B+. It's a very good touchpad, but it has minor issues. When I double tap to drag it over, I can't release my finger and keep dragging like you'd be able to on any other computer, like hold your thumb and use the other finger to keep dragging. Yeah, like you use on the Mac, you can't. And I really want that. On the Zenbook I have to, if I double tap to drag and I want to keep dragging, if I go off the touchpad I need to drag more, I have to click the touchpad with the thumb and then I can release my finger and keep dragging, which is just a bit annoying because I really don't like clicking this touchpad. It makes a huge noise and it doesn't feel like it clicks well, if you can say that. You have to try it for yourself, but clicking this touchpad is not my preferable way of using it. I like to tap it. When you use the touchpad on a laptop mostly, it just has to be great. And the touchpad on the Zenbook is just good. It's not great. The keyboard is so very great on the Zenbook. It's very good in my opinion. People say that it travels too much and it's a bit too stiff. I like that. I'm used to mechanical keyboards, and though this doesn't feel like a mechanical keyboard per se, I need the travel and I can't use the new MacBook keyboard, for example, the very thin one. I can't use those. All in all, I like writing on the keyboard, and this whole review is written on that keyboard, and it was a pretty good experience. Next up is gaming, and I'd like to jump inside to show you some tests I did on the Zenbook. So what I'm going to show you is some real-life examples of how this computer runs games. First up is League of Legends, and I'm going to set everything to very high. I'm running 141 FPS right now, 132, and this is running pretty smoothly. I have been running more than a couple League of Legends games on this computer, and so far it's been very good. So for League of Legends, this computer is definitely approved. Next up is Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which is my most played game. Let's see how the computer fares in this game. Let me just spawn here. And I'm spawned, I have bought, and so far this is running pretty well. I have an FPS of 117, it's bouncing around 110, and that looks pretty good. Let me just see how it works out. That's a one-shot right there. So this is an 128 text server online, so this is a real-world example of what you're gonna get. And so far I'm around 100 FPS, which is great on a 60 Hz monitor, which this screen is. So for Counter-Strike, definitely approved so far. I have been playing a few games on this computer and it's been running great and I have no complaints. It drops to about 70 in the smoke, which is not under 60, so that's still pretty good. Okay, so just to put it to the test, this is Crysis running at the computer. And here we have a bunch of things. We have water elements, we have lightning, we have so many things all over the place, and the computer really struggles now. I'm running this at 17 and now 19 FPS, so I wouldn't call this playable. This is everything on high, which is the lowest setting I could find in Crysis. Everything on the lowest I could find, and obviously in 1080p. And this is not running smoothly. So just to put it to the test, you can't run the newest AAA games on this computer, but you can definitely play some casual League of Legends or Counter-Strike Global Offensive. One thing I forgot to mention outside is the fact that the keyboard is backlit. Speaking of outside, let's go outside again and talk about everyday use of this computer. For everyday use, I use it mostly on the fly while traveling, on the bus, on the train, on the boat, on the plane. That rhymed. To edit videos or pass the time. Last month I was on a work-related trip to Norway by boat, and up there in the hotel I used the laptop for bills, for work, for watching TV or Netflix shows. And on the trip home I used it to watch the Revenant, a great movie by the way, while charging my phone and using it for various things on the boat. And it lasted me 4.5 hours. While this isn't as impressive as reviews saying they get 6.5 hours out of their Zenbook, I simply use mine to the fullest. So while watching the Revenant in VLC Media Player, charging my phone and using it for a lot of stuff, it lasted me 4.5 hours. A laptop preferably should last me a whole day of work, but this lasts me half a day of work. One thing I want to mention is a major props to ASUS for including an SD card reader. Rumor has it that the next MacBook Pro won't have an SD card reader, which I find mind-blowing. I'm pretty happy with my purchase. I feel like I got my money's worth and even more. If you want a great ultrabook for lightweight things, such as playing games on the fly, light games like League of Legends or Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or just, as in my case, edit video, this might just suit you. If you enjoyed this review, please hit that like button and subscribe button down there. And also stay tuned for my OnePlus 3 review, which is coming up. I've been using this for a week now, and so far it's been amazing. Stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey.